If this is your first time here, welcome to the Life Matters podcast with me, Kiana Monroe, and
Lakeisha Johnson.
And we are on part 2 of wounds. If you have not watched the first one, don't watch this. There's a link right there. We're going to put this box up here. Mm-hmm. See that? Go to that video. Watch that video first, and then come back to this video. Because you can't start, it's like starting in the middle of a movie. Like,
you gotta hear the whole story. You gotta get to see the whole process.
Shebang.
It's a process. And we're gonna lay it out. Okay?
We're laying it out. And we're all about love here. Self-love, LOVE, and be happy and love your selfie. Let's get into that. Part 2 on wounds, right? So the first one that we talked about was acknowledging it, being aware of it, not being ashamed of it, and the different types of wounds that you could be dealing with, whether it's some form of abuse, whether it's mental, emotional, verbal abuse, sexual abuse. We all deal with something. We all have something. Mm-hmm. And so now we're going to talk about like really identifying it, where it is, and how it's affecting your day to day. And this is not something easy. So this is not the end all be all. Mm-hmm. This is just part 2. We are going to break this series down because on your life journey, you have to do a lot of self-reflecting. Okay, and you have to, in order for it to be successful, you have to dig up these things and you have to deal with them so that you can live your life and be your best self.
Right. And let's just be honest, right? All of us have dealt with some form of abuse. And if you haven't, you're very lucky. But you have someone in your life that has. And so this is why this is important, not only for you, but for you to understand those around you, okay? So
yeah, because you don't know, it could be affecting you in all kind of ways. And so we're going to like dig into that and tear into that. So how do you know if you have pitched a tent under your Band-Aid? And that's one of the things I say. How do you know if you pitched a tent? So when you hurt yourself, right? So the first thing you do is get you some Neosporin, put that on there, put your little Band-Aid on there, and you're good, right? It doesn't necessarily mean that it's healed. If you've been stabbed and you put a Band-Aid on that, that's not going to work. Maybe a tiny scrape, but even that, you have to deal with it. You have to take the Band-Aid off and let the air hit it so it can turn into a scab, and then it will fall off, and then you put some vitamin E and coconut oil on it so it don't mess up the color of your skin, right? Yeah. Same thing with a wound.
Yeah, it reminds me of this patient I had the other day. Little girl, she was so cute. She slammed her finger in the door so hard, like 2 days prior. And then she came to see me, and her mom had washed it, put Neosporin. It's like turning white. It's losing the circulation. And so I'm like, why did you take her to the hospital? And she said, oh, I didn't know. Her wound needed stitches. It needed more care so that it can heal properly. And that's kind of like what we're trying to say here, even with our hearts and our emotions, right?
Mentally, too. It needs time to heal. So not everything fades with time, okay? Right. And not everything is a quick and easy fix, right? Certain wounds touch the very core of who you are, right? And you can have personality traits that come out of that, right? Situations that come out of that, and age. As you age, you think, oh, well, that's just how I am, and you get stuck in your ways with that. And now you have these personality traits that are, have you ever heard of that? When some people say, no, this is who I am, and this is how I am, and I don't need to change, and I don't need to fix it. Yeah. And it's just like, no, you're actually dealing with life from a broken place.
Right. And if you really want to have the fullness of what life has to offer and feel real joy, not just going through the motions every day, but really feel real joy and live life to the fullest so that you can be a blessing to those around you as well, not just coping or what do we say? We're just surviving. Oh. No. We need to be living our best life, right? So, yeah, very much so. We have to dig deep and uncover those issues. This is why people are the way they are.
I agree.
There's some people that are hurting so bad over how somebody did them, or how somebody acted toward them, or how somebody didn't really do quite what they expected. And a lot of it's because we've all develop coping mechanisms so we can survive. And
we're not
and
dealing
people are
with
the
it.
way they are for a reason, you know. And so that's why we want to self-correct.
And people project. They think just because a lot of time has gone by that suppression, because that's really what it is. It's like, okay, well, I fixed it. No, because then you develop triggers. And just because time passed doesn't mean that things are still not relevant to you. And things are still not happening. You just got to be put in a situation like you're like a ticking time bomb, right? And if somebody does something that hits a trigger, you know, touches your nerve, you going off.
Right.
You going off.
And that's a symptom.
It
That's
is.
a symptom of
and
a
the
deeper
person
problem.
probably is just like, yeah, what I do to you?
I have triggers.
What I do to you? And it's not something that they did personally necessarily. It's just that you are reacting and you're projecting your shit on other people. You really are. You're projecting your hurt on other people, and we need to work on that. Time heals wounds, but so does the effort.
Right.
You
don't want to bring toxicity to people's lives or your own life. You don't want to live in a toxic energy, you know, with a toxic energy around you. So you want to really bring light, you know, have lightness, you know, in you know, so you're not heavy and stressed and burdened.
I agree.
Because all those things compact and they're exponential. So when you get those triggers, I would suggest really looking into that. When you have those moments where you just lose it, write it down, look back and figure out what caused that trigger. This is what we're talking about when we say digging deeper.
Deeper.
Yeah.
So how are your wounds affecting your day-to-day? Right? That's so important. How are your wounds affecting you and your day-to-day? Understanding your hurt, understanding your issue, whatever that may be, your issue, and how it affects your day-to-day. I wrote a couple of examples. I wrote a bunch of them down because they was like popping out all over my head. And I wrote them down. And you know, we old a little bit, so we write stuff down.
I want to hear them because I'm sure I can relate.
So this is some of the things that I wrote down, right? Fearful about taking risks. Fearful of change. That's a symptom that you know. These are the things that you know, okay, I'm dealing with some of these things. So I may not be as healed as I thought I was, right? So let me look. Okay, fearful of taking risk and taking change. Eating when you are not hungry. Emotional eating, right? You ain't hungry, you're just eating just because. Feelings of guilt or shame, that's another one. Struggling with anger or depression. Becoming tearful for no reason, just dropping a dime. Yeah, that I do that sometimes. I could just be in my feelings and be driving, and all of a sudden, and these are triggers. Again, these are triggers, and there's so
I'm like, as you're saying these things, I have something to say about everything. Like, oh my God, yes, I get it. I totally get it.
Okay.
Yeah, we do these things, and we do them on different levels, but we do some level of this, right?
If some of these are yours, write them down because we're gonna do some action items. Write them down. I had a whole bunch of them. I had to narrow them down. Feeling like the world is not a safe place for you. For me, that's one of mine. Being sold into trafficking and being sexually abused. I had a really, really, really big fear of men. I never knew if I was walking down the street, if I was going to get snatched.
And you know what? This is a good one because I'm pretty content now because I've been through a lot of things. And so I know that I was able to get through them and it was okay. But looking back at my childhood, I tend to project a lot of this onto my daughter, my nephews, the kids in my life. Like, oh my God, I'm so fearful for them because I know what I went through in those streets, right?
Because we know what happens in the world today.
Yeah, so we gotta be real careful about instilling this fear into them. Because we don't want them to be scared of everything, right?
But that's because that's what we were. So for me, before therapy, I would walk down, say, like just a regular street, and I would just go until the guy passes by. If he looked just a little questionable, or if he and that's not even okay, because that's like prejudging. And I don't even know these people.
And it provokes people too. I think if they notice any fear or anything, it could cause them to pick up on it.
But that's one of my symptoms. That's like one of the symptoms that I had because I never knew who anybody was on the street. So a trigger for me was feeling like the world is not a safe place. That I'm so used to bad things happening to me that I never know when another bad thing is going to happen to me. So going outside of my house, and people deal with that. They don't want to go outside of their house because they don't know what bad can happen to them. So that's a symptom. Feeling lonely and detached from other people. Another word. Another one is, it's like being misunderstood. You always misunderstood. I feel that way. Pretty often, and that's because a lot of times I live in my own thoughts and my own head. And sometimes it's okay, but you can't live there all the time because you really can't self-sabotage when you do that. Life never seems fair. That's another one. If life never seems fair to you, you just always catching bad breaks, no matter what happens, that's a symptom. I've dealt with that just a little bit before because I was so into bad stuff happening to me that everything, even if it was little, it's just like, well, that's a natural reaction. For me, I was like, no, that's unfair. You know what I mean? Because it was a learned behavior. Nightmares. Okay, that's a big one for me too. Nightmares, flashbacks, which causes emotional flooding consistently in your life. So if you have a nightmare or a flashback, which is a trigger as well, and you spend like the next 2 to 3 days in a sunken place, right? In a dark space. I know you heard that before. And people say, I'm just in a dark place in my head right now. Then due to triggers or a nightmare or a flashback or something bad that has happened, that's another symptom. Okay? Never having a positive outlook. Thinking and feeling badly about yourself, speaking. I say this all the time. I sound like a broken record. That it's imperative what you say to yourself about yourself, but it's also based off of how you view and feel for yourself. That's very important. But that's another thing. And here's a big one: doing things to numb the pain. Doing things that are not good for you.
We all do that.
To numb the pain.
Don't lie.
You out there. Write it down.
What do you do?
Write it down.
Take note. Take inventory of what you do because you need to focus and do it. You may not be able to stop doing everything at once, even the emotional eating, whatever, what have you. You know those things.
It could be sex.
Write them down.
It could be going after somebody that you know. I said this last time, that you know is no good for you. Like an ex, a bad ex that was bad to you. But you going back to just, you don't want to deal with no pain, so you messing with them. You drinking, smoking excessively, getting high all the time, just because you don't want to deal with whatever pain. Drugs.
I think, too, a lot of, and I was just quick to say men, but I bet you it's either way. Cover up past abuse, like sexual abuse, by being sexually promiscuous or even just cheating on, women after. I notice it in men a lot in my life and around me. So I'll say men for an example, but it goes both ways. But just woman after woman after woman. And I kind of feel like that's to help them kind of wash off that abuse that maybe they had when they were younger. Or that coping mechanism because their mom, they had issues with mom. So many things. That's a good one. Many things, we all have coping mechanisms and they can be this big and they can be out of control and detrimental to yourself, not only yourself but the community around you, right? Yeah. So that was major.
That's a big one. So if you have any of those, write those down. That means that you still got a lot of healing to do.
These things though, these are awesome. I mean, honestly, there's a show in each topic. I just want to do a show on each topic. Honestly, I do. I think we should honestly do a show on each topic because the thing is, once we're aware of these things can be blessings in disguise. Why? Because once you acknowledge them, this is your gateway to growth. Once you, they say the first step is admitting it and acknowledging it. Right. Once you take ownership and you understand what you're dealing with, it's your key. It's your key to do the next step and to work on yourself. And I think you could be such even a blessing to those around you once you get you together because you can say, I went through that. And
now you have a level of relatability.
Yeah. Absolutely. Relatability is awesome.
That's what makes what I do with the girls so effective.
Yes.
Because I can say, I've been through it too. I experienced it too.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like this too, or I think that way too. And I know exactly what you're going through because I have. So let me help you so that you don't have to repeat and make the same mistakes that I have.
Right.
And so many people try to manage their pain versus dealing and healing with it.
And I think we talked about that last time, reasons why people may not want to share because they may feel embarrassed or, you know, we all have gone through some things, you know, and your struggle is really your tool, you know, to use to better yourself and better those around you. I mean, I can't stress that point enough. This is not, it was a struggle, but it was for a purpose. It's part of who you are. It's part of your purpose, and there's nothing wrong with where you are, what pain you have.
There's nothing wrong with you.
We had to get through it. So we can go through, you know, we have to go through it so we can get through it so we can grow.
And feelings lead to a release. Right?
Yeah.
Denying your feelings, suppressing your feelings, numbing them. I mean, those things only intensify it with time. Right. And it gets worse with time. And now you've created almost a personality trait that is not healthy. Now it's a habit, an unhealthy habit.
Right, and the thing is the pain. A lot of people don't want to deal with the pain. They
may
not want to do this work. Let me just tell you, anybody who doesn't want to do this work or wants to run from it or just like, oh, that's going to hurt too much. I don't want to think about it. I don't want to deal with it. I don't want to look at it. My past is this. But you're living unhealthy and you're hurting yourself by doing certain things or behaviors or what have you. Understand that looking at the pain is going to be on the other side of that. It's like the pot at the end of the rainbow. It's like over, you know, it's your mirror, it's your blessing on the other side of that. So would you want to stay in a dark place, a heavy place, just shopping and eating and what have you, all those things we name? Or do you want to maybe do a little bit of that but work on you? Do a little bit of that but work on you, and eventually those things disappear and fall off, and you're at a place where, wow, life really is worth living. It's enjoyable. It's light. It's peaceful.
It is. And doing the wrong things is like a coping mechanism, and at the end of the day, you think that you're just protecting yourself, but you're not. You're not protecting yourself.
There's more to life. There's more to life on the other side of dealing with those issues, and that's why
it takes so much energy.
Right.
It takes so much energy to put up a facade like you okay when you're not okay, because you don't realize it's okay to not be okay, and give yourself some time to love yourself first.
Stop lying to the people. It's okay to not be okay.
It's
I'm okay.
A weight.
I won't judge you. I love you. You're okay.
It's a weight.
We're all flawed.
It's a weight. And I'm telling you, I have carried it for a long time. Full transparency. My degrees was my weight. You know, trying to people please was my weight. Trying to make sure that it was like a perfect image, it was my weight. Trying to, you know, give and be and this and like I call it the 3 P's, okay? When I teach this with my girls, I say eat your peas, but be mindful of the peas you're eating. So don't, what do I call it? Pleasing. Dang, I actually forgot.
You're gonna come back with those P's.
I'm gonna come back with those P's.
Pleasing is a good one.
Pleasing is a good one. Perfecting. Always trying to be perfect. Always trying to be perfect. So being perfect, pleasing, and projecting. That's another part of the 3 P's.
Another show.
Projecting.
Another show.
Constantly projecting. Not knowing that you are projecting negativity on other people or lying and acting like you okay when you're not okay. So that's another really, really big thing.
It's time to stop, people.
It is. It's
time to just be okay with you. You are beautiful.
You're
and wonderfully made. It's okay. You don't gotta worry about other people, what people think, or holding up this image.
Yeah.
Stop it.
You enough.
Let it go. You're awesome.
You all the way.
Let's deal with you. We love you enough to deal with you. Right? Don't get...
Write it down.
Yeah.
Action items. Okay? Action items. So, with everything that we said, now it's time to start doing some work. Here's some action items that you can do, because faith without works is dead, and we all working on something.
Mm-hmm.
So one of the things that I said was that we can do, and I actually, one of my therapists told me to do that, and yes, I still have a therapist. Okay, your therapist should have a therapist. If not,
my therapist probably need a therapist.
I know. First of all, give yourself permission to feel. Okay, sit with yourself. I always say that. Tune people out and give yourself some time to sit with yourself and feel what you feel. Just feel what you feel. It is okay.
And it's okay to cry too.
Feel what you feel.
Mm-hmm.
Look back over the past, say, 2 to 3 months, or even something very, very recent, right? And write down on a list, and we'll do it too. We can come back and share, or you can reach out on Life Matters Project for Instagram or Facebook, or leave your comments below. Actually, we'll respond to it. We promise.
Mm-hmm.
And write down the 5 things that overwhelm you the most. The 5 most overwhelming feelings that you get, right? Sit there. Okay, so over the past 3 months, and we just went through the holidays, okay? So over the past 3 months, going into this new year, closing out the old year, getting into the new year, getting through Valentine's Day, because we just got past, Valentine's Day not too long ago. Look over the most overwhelming feelings that you had, right? And now that it's here, write down, I don't want to give you guys too much work, but one way to fix each feeling. So you got 5 fix-it tickets, okay, for your emotions. And that can be therapy. That can be going to church, getting into your Bible. That can be being a part of a group. If you know that you have an addiction or whatever that may be. That can be seeking some type of medical help or attention. Forgiveness. If you're going through a couple of things and it's bothering you and you are dealing with some internal stuff, and forgiveness is the way to fix it, forgive, auntie. Forgive. So think about that. One way that you can apply and exercise on how to deal with the 5 most overwhelming emotions that you have. Mm-hmm. That's a start. Baby steps are still a start. Mm-hmm. I'm going to do it. Mm-hmm. You going to do it?
I'm going to do it. And if you have a bad memory like me, and you want to just take it from here.
She said you got a bad
you want to take it
like
take the next week. I guarantee you're going to be overwhelmed at least once, probably multiple times, depending on who you are. But take it from here forward. Write them down so you can get them in real time.
See it,
right? Mm-hmm. And even past ones. But if you come up with something this week, write it down real time. Catch yourself, because sometimes we don't even realize, right?
I know.
We're just fighting.
I know. And that don't work, and that don't help anybody. And then once you have your healing mechanisms down, mm-hmm. then let's try to apply that at least 1 to 2 times a day.
It's a practice. Self-love is a practice, guys.
It's a journey. That's what we said. Life journey.
Yeah, 1 step at a time, over time. Because a lot of these things, it takes time to become aware, and it takes time to catch it, because sometimes we slip, but you got to just practice at it. And once you practice at something, it becomes a habit, right? Yeah. We're going to be in the habit of loving ourselves and the habit of working on ourselves and growing, right?
Yeah.
We're going to work it out.
Nothing happens overnight, but guess what? It's the very best investment.
Yeah. And love yourself in the process too.
Be patient with yourself.
Do not beat yourself up. We're not perfect. We're not meant to be perfect, okay? But we're going to work on it.
Require that. Mm-hmm. Like, if you really think about it, you're not even required to be perfect. So be patient with you. Extend some compassion and do the work. We're here. This is a journey. We're doing these podcasts because we're on the journey with you. Okay? It's not just you. It's us too.
Oh, yeah.
So we are wrapping up part 2. Get ready for part 3. Please, please, please like and subscribe. Leave your comments below. And we are open and receptive to any ideas that you may want us to talk about. So we hope that you have learned a whole lot from this session, and stay tuned for the next. Bye, everybody.
Have a great day. Enjoy.